Rise and shine, my beautiful divine diamonds, and welcome. Today I'm going to be going over some major red flags and signs of emotional abuse for you to be aware of. While you're here, go ahead, like this video and subscribe for more. My goal on this channel is to help you find success, happiness, get yourselves out of a rut, and level up your lives. According to medical news today, there's a wide variety of emotional abuse. So a lot of times people think of abuse as physical violence, yelling, throwing things, etc. But emotional abuse can be just as damaging, if not more. Number one is controlling behaviors. So controlling behaviors is actually a way to emotionally restrict and tighten control and power over the abused person. So the abuser is going to want to control finances, your whereabouts, who you talk to, what you do, where you go, etc. They might want to be kept up to date about where you're going, when you're going, and they need frequent check-ins. They need to know all the details about what you're doing without them, because that is how they monitor and keep you in check and keep you under their control. Another controlling behavior that is definitely unacceptable is yelling. So if you are in a relationship, if you are being yelled at and you are being put down and you're afraid because someone is yelling at you, that is not healthy communication, that is not healthy conflict. That is a way to make you fearful, keep you in check, and keep you doing what they want you to do. Other controlling behaviors include conditional reward punishments. So if you are doing what they want you to do, then you will be rewarded, they'll be nice, etc. However, if you do something that they don't want, then they will act out and be rude, insultive, make you feel bad about yourself, etc. They might also give or take things away from you, depending on if you're playing their game or not. The next category here is demeaning and belittling behaviors. So this includes insulting you straight up. That's a really obvious one. That's an emotional abusive behavior, is if someone is insulting you and saying mean things about you to your face or in a group setting or behind your back, whatever, that is still harmful and emotionally abusive. However, it can also get a little bit trickier here because sometimes these insults come off as jokes, to where the abuser is able to get away with it because it's just a joke and you're too sensitive and I don't really mean it, I'm just playing around, can't you take a joke? So if it hurts you and if you feel slighted and cut by the joke, then it is emotional abuse. And if you speak up for yourself and they don't respect that and they pass it off as just a joke, then that is another red flag. Another way that emotional abusers try to get away with insulting is by giving you little pet names or saying little things about you or your appearance or etc. that are not very friendly, that might make you feel a little bit inferior, that might make you feel a little bit self-conscious or bad about yourself or feel like you need to do better or whatever the case may be. But it's to that point and to that level where it's not so obvious that you can call them out on it. So they might give you a little nickname that's kind of insulting or kind of demeaning, makes you feel bad about yourself, but then they can pass it off as, oh, I was just giving you a little funny nickname, you don't have to take it so seriously, etc. Okay, so watch out for the little nicknames. Nicknames should uplift you and make you feel good about yourself, not the other way around. Now, in this category of demeaning and belittling, there is also a patronizing behavior. If the abuser is patronizing you and talking down to you, basically they're talking to you like you're inferior, you're less educated, they know more than you, they know best, and they don't really take you seriously at all. That is literally them talking down to you, making you feel bad, making you feel less than, and what is that going to do to your self-esteem but shrink it around this person? Like, you should feel like an equal, you should feel like your voice and what you're bringing to the table is valued and important as well. So if you are being demeaned and patronized as though you're a child and that they know everything and you don't, that is emotional abuse. Now, another form of emotional abuse is gaslighting. So if you haven't heard what gaslighting is where the person who is abusing you, is where the abusive person actually makes you believe that you are wrong, or that you're remembering things wrong, or that you don't remember things at all in the right way. So you might confront them and say, I feel bad when you did this, you hurt my feelings when you did this, etc. And what they will do is they will gaslight you, and they will say, I never did that. You're making that up in your head. You are making that up. I never did any of that. And what that is meant to do is to make you feel less sure of yourself and less sure of your own memory and your own recollection. And it weakens your self-esteem and confidence in yourself, because then you're like, oh my gosh, did I remember this wrong? Like maybe I'm not like really remembering things correctly. Maybe they are right and I'm just like making things up. And then it also makes you less likely to bring up things in the future, because you're going to feel, number one, like maybe you'll be wrong again, maybe it isn't actually the case. And also the fact is they never actually tried to resolve the issue. So you might just feel like there's no point in bringing it up because you're going to be wrong anyway. And that is completely uncalled for emotional abuse. Similar to gaslighting is downplaying the problem. So if you come up with an issue and you say that you're upset about something and this is how it makes you feel, the abusive person is going to downplay that and say, that isn't even a big deal. Why are you so sensitive? Why are you making such a big deal about this? You're such a drama queen. You should just let it go, okay? So that is them literally downplaying your emotions, downplaying how you feel, and you have a right to your feelings. Your feelings are valid, your feelings are important, and how you feel should be respected, okay? So as long as you're saying things and confronting the situation in an assertive and respectful way where you're speaking about how you feel, then it should resolve itself in a much healthier way. Another emotionally abusive tactic, which is often ignored or passed over, is the neglectful behavior. So neglect is actually emotionally abusive behavior because it hurts your self-esteem. It makes you feel like you're not worthy of attention, you're not worthy of getting your needs met, you're not worthy of having conflicts resolved, and it can be very damaging. So one example of neglect is if you bring up an issue and if you want to talk it over or have a healthy conflict and the other person decides to literally leave. So they don't want to entertain your issue, they don't want to entertain conflict, they don't want to resolve anything, they're just going to leave and leave you there hanging, feeling upset, feeling unheard, and the issue is not going to be resolved. And then later on they might come back and act like everything's fine, no need to worry, everything kind of has been swept under the rug, and meanwhile you haven't even had the issue resolved at all. And in fact, they have made you feel that when you speak up for yourself and when you have an issue, they're going to leave. So it's almost like a punishment cycle where you become conditioned that speaking your mind and having conflict is going to result in them leaving and you being punished. So you start to actually zip it and not even bring up your issues at all, and that is completely unhealthy. Another issue with the neglect is stonewalling or the silent treatment. So if they are upset with you, or if they're trying to tighten their control on you, they might stonewall you, give you the silent treatment to where you are trying to interact with them, you're trying to resolve issues, or you're trying to come to a healthy understanding, and they are punishing you by ignoring you completely, okay? So that is a very unhealthy way to deal with conflict, and if they are trying to ignore you to get their own way, then that is emotional abuse as well, okay? So if you are working on the relationship, you're trying to resolve issues, it should be a back and forth where both people are participating and working through their issues. Next up, we're going to move on to blaming and playing the victim. So according to Medical News Today, blaming And victim playing is actually emotional abuse. So if the abusive person is always saying that everything is your fault. So whenever there's a conflict, it's because you did this, it's because you didn't do this, it's because you act out, it's because you make them feel bad, you make them feel sad, that's why they have to be abusive, that's why they have to yell, that's why they have to do these certain things that are uncalled for. That is emotional abuse and manipulation. They're blaming you for their own abusive behavior. So for example, if you were to have a fight and they were yelling at you and they were saying that you're a horrible person, blah, 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 and then you confront them later and you're like, by the way, that is completely uncalled for. You have no right to say that. You have no right to yell at me and insult me and call me those names. They will blame you and they will say, actually, you're the one who made me do it. You're the one who was acting out and you made me feel this way, and that's why I was calling you those things, and it wasn't my fault. You made me do it, okay? So they won't take responsibility and they won't actually admit that they were wrong, okay? That is emotional abuse. Another tactic that emotionally abusive people use is they deliberately try to push your buttons, they deliberately try to trigger you and get you upset to where you get angry, and then they can flip things over and call you the abuser or call you the problem or call you the person at fault when they're the ones who triggered it in the first place. Then we have playing the victim. So playing the victim goes right along with blaming, and that's where the abusive person doesn't own up to their behavior. They don't own up to being responsible for their behavior and for their emotions. So they will constantly play the victim. They'll constantly say that you hurt them, you made them feel this way, you're causing all these problems, they can't do certain things because you act out in certain ways. And they are playing the victim. Instead of coming up and admitting that, you know, maybe there's an issue going on, maybe you guys both have certain faults here, and they should be owning up to their part in the conflict. Another form of emotional abuse is unpredictable behavior. So unpredictable behavior includes a wide variety of different tactics. So for one thing, you could be on edge all the time because you never know what's going to trigger the other person to yell or act out or have an outburst. So having an outburst is one form of control to keep you in check, because you're going to be trying to do everything that you can to keep them happy, to make sure that they aren't going to have an outburst, and you never know when that might happen. So they're using that as a strategy to keep you on edge, to keep you afraid, to keep you down so that you do everything that they want you to do because you don't want to deal with their outbursts. Okay, so that's one big form of emotional abuse, is using those outbursts to keep other people in their control. Another form of unpredictable behavior is when you bring up an issue, you bring up a thing that you want to resolve or something that they did, and they try to muddle it all up and they try to confuse things and they try to say, oh, I didn't do that. No, you're reading into that wrong. That's not what I did. I didn't do that. And they gaslight you and they kind of confuse the whole story to the point where you just get so tired and you don't even know what happened anymore and you just give up, okay? So that is emotional abuse. That's a tactic to confuse you so that they win. And these outbursts of anger often condition you because they will have an outburst when things don't go their way or when you confront them about something. So it conditions you to not bring things up, to not confront them, to not speak your mind, because that's going to result in an outburst. So you might become conditioned to just not say anything, walk on eggshells, do what they want because you don't want to deal with their extreme outbursts. And that is literally emotional abuse. A couple of other emotionally abusive tactics include isolating you from friends and family. Basically, that often involves pitting you against other people, causing problems, making you feel upset about other people, or making you mistrust them so that you don't want to hang out with them anymore. or plain and simple not allowing you to hang out with them and kind of punishing you whenever you do. So for example, if you want to go hang out with a friend or do something with someone else, they will punish you with certain behavior, whether that be outbursts, whether that be sulking, whether that be guilt tripping you, making you feel bad, etc., just to the point where they can condition you over time, because at that point you're probably drained, you're probably tired of feeling like every time I want to hang out with someone, every time I want to do this, every time I want to leave, they're going to have this punishing, rude, angry behavior, and it becomes easier to just stay so that you don't have to deal with that. Speaking of guilt tripping, that is another sign of emotional abuse. So if someone is guilt tripping you, actually conditioning you once again to do things their way. So guilt tripping means that they're using emotional manipulation to make you feel bad about doing certain things. So if they don't want you to do a certain thing, they're going to guilt trip you to make you feel bad, to make you feel like you did something wrong, you're hurting them, you're neglecting them, you're making them feel bad, and it's going to condition you to stop doing that. So for example, just as I mentioned above, if you want to go do something on your own or do something without them and they start guilt tripping you, making comments about how unfair it is or how you're hurting their feelings or how it's, blah, 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 whatever excuses they make, if it's making you feel guilty, then that's guilt tripping, okay? You're not doing anything wrong. They're just trying to condition you to do things their way. Another red flag of emotional abuse is suffocating you. So in any healthy relationship, two people need to maintain their independence. They need to have time alone. They need to do things without each other all the time so that they can maintain personal identity. Now, if you are being suffocated and you're constantly around the other person, they're constantly needing you, they want your energy, they need it, they need you to be around them, then they're actually draining you, and that is emotionally abusive because you're not getting your time, you're not getting what you need to be happy and to fill your own cup. You're constantly forced to give your energy to them, to focus on them, to give them attention, and you're not giving yourself the attention and love that you need. So the other person needs to actually respect your time, respect your space, give you your independence, and allow you to fill your own cup. Vindictive behavior is another red flag. So for example, if you hurt them, whether on purpose or an accident, or maybe you just didn't know, they're going to be vindictive. They're going to hurt you back. They're going to want to hurt you. They're going to want to make you feel the pain that they felt. It's a punishment. It's a way to control you. It's a way to condition you. Meanwhile, a healthy partner would understand that maybe you made a mistake. Maybe they need to confront you in a healthy and assertive way and let you know that that's not okay. But they're not going to be vindictive. They're not going to hurt you because you hurt them. It's not going to be a tit for tat type of deal. You understand what I'm saying? The last form of emotional abuse of this video is conditional love. This one is a painful one. Some of us may have had this during childhood. Some of us may deal with this in relationships. And that's basically where the other person makes you feel like you don't deserve love inherently. You have to do certain things or act certain ways in order to have love. So you have to get good grades if you want my love and attention, or you have to act in a certain way and do what I want in order to receive love and attention. You have to be with me and do things my way if you want love and attention. And if you go against that and do something else, then you're going to be punished and you're not going to receive love. Okay? You're going to receive conditional love. And what that means is you're being conditioned to do things their way in order to receive love. That's not love. That is manipulation, and that's emotional abuse. You deserve unconditional love, whether you make mistakes, whether you have different priorities, whether you like to do things differently than they do. That's just how it should be, okay? So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope that this sheds some light on different types of red flags to watch out for. And if you do run into these things, you want to set some healthy boundaries, step away, and really evaluate if this is a healthy relationship for you. All right, my beautiful divine diamonds, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next video, and remember, you are so powerful. Bye, guys.